Hello everyone, we're going to start drawing our bridge and Onshape, and we'll go through a few steps here to get ready. First, let's look at the specifications sheet. This is the straw bridge specifications, and if you scroll down this document, we're going to look here first at the drawing on the last page. This is going to show us kind of how to set up our initial sketch. So you're going to be drawing your truss sketch, and this will have a 2D version of the side of the bridge and then we're going to get it to 3D later. So first thing we want to look at is where our supports are. 45 centimeters is the width of the length of our bridge. Sorry, the width is 8 to 6 centimeters, but the length is going to be from here, one support, all the way over here to the other support. This is where we want to start. We also should note that your bridge is going to get loaded in three places. 1, 2, 3. These are the loads, and this is spec. They are required to be 11.25 centimeters apart. So we can start by drawing a line here and starting to draw our bridge. The other thing we should notice is the height of the bridge can't exceed 20 centimeters, and the distance below the loads is a maximum of 10 centimeters. You also cannot draw or create any pieces in this area because that's where the bridge supports will be. So we'll start here with this line here with our loads 11.25 apart, and we'll go over here. So first thing we're gonna do actually before we draw that is I do have some variables that will be helpful. So we want to create a variable studio. You can add a variable studio here. Create variable studio. I've got one in already. Once you have, actually I'm going to remove this. I'll show you how to do this from the beginning. So we're going to add the variable studio, and now we're going to insert a variable studio, and that's where you're going to get all the variables that I've made already. And if you search the other documents, we can find straw bridge variables, and we should find, there we go, variables for paper straw bridge. And once we click that, we see we have lots of variables. Just click on the very first one and that'll bring them all in. At times you'll see a blue circle appear here, and you'll want to make sure you right click and choose update link document when that blue circle appears to make sure you have the latest version. Currently it's version 9. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is in these variables, I did create a variable for the bridge spacing between nodes. This is it right here. If you hover, actually I need to make this bigger. I've got everything in inches, so let's make sure that if you're seeing inches here, you switch to, it's best probably to do this in millimeters. Most of the things we're going to be looking at are rather small. Besides the distance between nodes. So let's look at millimeters here. We're going to go to workspace units, and we're going to change this to millimeter. And actually it'd be good to use metrics, so we'll just switch everything to kilogram, and that's looks like all I can change right now. Don't need to worry about those. So millimeters and kilograms should be sufficient. And here we go. Okay, so now we have our units and our variable, so we can start drawing in our part studio. So let's make a sketch, and everything's going to be drawn on the right plane. So we can pick it over here. The right plane is right here, and that is going to be where we'll start. Let's call this our, you can call it your, really it's your 2D truss. When you have a side of the bridge, it's called a truss. So 2D truss sketch, you can call that. And then we'll open it up. And if you hit the N key, it'll bring us on the right plane. I'm going to hide the other planes. Let's see, I want to hide everything except for front plane. We're going to use the front plane later for mirroring, so let's just keep that open. Move that down here so you can see better. Okay, we'll start drawing our support and load line. This will be the bottom of our truss. Well, it depends if you go below it, but let's start here. I'm going to go out here a little bit, and then we can just type equal sign here. We're going to draw a equal sign. Will give out our variables. So we hit pound here, we can find our variables. And here's our bridge space between load nodes. So I'm going to pick that. If we hit enter, we get 112.5. We can go out again, and we can make another one. So this will be our first, our load node, our first node for loading. And here I could have done equal sign, but if I didn't, I can click dimension, choose this, and click equal sign, or pound actually. Equal sign if you're just creating the line, pound if you've already created the dimension and you're adding it later. So cross bridge spacing between loads, and enter. There we go. So this is half of our bridge. We're going to mirror it over here to get the other half of our bridge truss. So we're going to do a real simple truss here that we can mirror. So let's just pick some line segments. We'll grab the midpoint here. If you hover over, remember you'll get this midpoint. Click there. Come back down here. Hover over again. We'll click it again. Click here. It's important that when you're creating these are called the bridge elements, that you create them separately. For instance, you would not want to create a line that went from here to here. It won't work when we export to EngiLab, which is how we'll do some of our analysis. So you've got to go between each, what are we calling our nodes. So that'll get us started. We'll click here. And now we're ready to mirror this. So let's find the mirror tool. I don't see it up here, so we can search for mirror. Oops. Mirror tool. There we go. Now it's going to be up there. Select a mirror line. That's the first thing we do. And we can use the edge of that front plane. And now all the entities to be mirrored. We'll just draw a box around everything. And then we missed a couple, so we'll click on this one and this one. And now notice we don't have one there, so we're going to have to draw one. But once you're done, just click somewhere else. Actually hit enter. I don't know why that stopped. We can just switch tool. There we go. And there we go. I got our top of our truss. So that's our truss. Notice we've got some constraints. We can lift it up and down, but it's symmetric, and it has these midpoint constraints, which keep these in the middle. You can experiment with all kinds of bridges, but this is your first one to test. If you're going to export this to EngiLab, you're going to right click, you're going to close the sketch, right click here and export using these settings, and you can go and do some analysis on that. Once your analysis is done, or actually it doesn't have to be done, you can still be making changes. You can continue on and start drawing your nodes.